You can't let very high stake decisions that requires ethical thinking and creative thinking to leave it to an AI. So we don't do that. So what we do is we allow AI to do what it's best at, and that is looking across data, looking across information and surfacing the concerning behavior, and then human is in the loop in real time.
Yep.
That does the decision making.
Hello, my name is Ruben Arturo Garcia, and welcome to Valid Questions, where we talk about different trends, different technologies, and just really interesting things that are going on in the industry. I am the CEO and co-founder of Certiverse, and if you don't know about Certiverse, what we do is we've developed a platform that helps expedite the development of certification exams. Our goal is to really build as many certifications exams and to change people's worlds, and the way to do that is to really drive down the cost of exam development and also the time. We do have a really interesting guest today. It's a little bit it's interesting because it's my background, which is remote proctoring. But today we have Noor Akbari from Roslyn. And Roslyn, I think you've been around for a few years, but it's a very different perspective around delivery and providing security around exams. Noor, welcome. I'd love to hear a lot about what you're doing at Roslyn, and also obviously we are working on a partnership, and we're very excited about using your technology and your platform. But tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to this space, and where you're from, and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely, Ruben. Thank you. You're doing some amazing things. I think you're modernizing a very tedious process that definitely needs scaling. So you're doing some amazing work there. So my name is Noor Akbari. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Roslyn. A little bit about my background. I'm originally from Afghanistan. I grew up in the Civil War era Afghanistan, kind of living through Soviets, and then the Civil War, and then the Taliban, and then have been an entrepreneur for a long time, beginning from my early teenage years, building the first printing shop, I would say, that used the computer for the first time. Before that, it was calligraphers and all of that. So because I knew how to operate a computer, and I said, okay, well, we could modernize this and scale it up. So I sold that business, and then got recruited by the U.S. military, and did some work as a translator, editor, and then became the political advisor for the U.S. military in Kabul, and then after that was a pretty exciting time, but dangerous. So I was given a special immigration visa, came to the United States in 2007, and have been in this entrepreneurship journey. This is my third attempt at a company.
Yes.
First one was a healthcare company. We took it to about $1 million in revenue and then drove it to the ground.
Yes.
The second one was actually an assessment company. We language assessment, providing very niche language assessments to the U.S. military. And then as part of that company, one of our biggest problem was online proctoring. How do we proctor exams? These were high stake exams, and so I built a little tool that automated the process, and that worked really well. And then that was the beginning of my passion for this boring thing called proctoring. But I have been at it for some time.
That's incredible. And then when did you start? Tell us about just kind of Roslyn. When was it founded? Kind of what's the process that you went to get that going?
Yeah. So as I said, it was part of my previous company when the first kind of MVP was built. It was not AI or anything like that. It was just an automated system that recorded video. But over time, as I met my co-founder Martin, we built, began working on it. But officially in 2018 was when we founded Rosalind and began the process of building the platform as a SaaS platform.
Yeah, that's incredible. So so a few years, just almost like around the same time as we've been with Certiverse.
Yeah. Went through a few pivots, and we were obviously very early to the market, and this was a new concept, and so we had to go through a few pivots to.
I remember that. I
yeah.
remember when when I first heard about you, and somebody recommended and said, we were doing this, and they're like, oh, you should talk to Noor at Rosalind, and I'm like, okay, well, and then obviously your company's changed a lot, and people don't realize that, but that's what startup life is about. Like we've gone through so many pivots as well, like from pricing models to methodologies to things that we thought we were going to build. We never thought that we needed delivery integrated into the platform to make it successful. And here we are. We've added delivery. Obviously, we do it through partnerships, with companies like you. But pivoting is like a very natural process for a startup. And by the way, I want to just say that I feel like obviously both of us are immigrants. I was born in Mexico. I didn't have like the challenges of civil war that you did. But I grew up in Chicago, and I grew up in a very rough neighborhood, and I used to get chased by kids, and it was had a lot of just crazy things happen to me throughout my life. And I think that all of that has really helped me kind of become an entrepreneur. And it's an entrepreneur is really about taking these kind of like experiences that you've endured in your life, and then coming up with ideas, and then also it's kind of interesting. So it's incredible that that you're here, and I'm so happy because there's not a lot of like immigrant entrepreneurs in the assessment industry, so it's
Thank you, really appreciate it.
So, all right. So I'm very familiar with remote proctoring. Obviously, I started Innovative Exams, and then, sold it to PSI. Back in the day, when we started that company, it was really more about, leveraging, at the time, online platforms and coders and things like that, and things that could, that would allow us to just deliver a video remotely, and using signaling technologies to connect to individuals. I think that there's a little bit of I would say like a renaissance right now going on with remote proctoring. But let's talk a little bit about what's the difference between kind of like traditional remote proctoring and versus like what you're offering with Rosalind, and and some of the technologies that you're using.
So remote proctoring, as you said, it has been kind of evolving, and you're basically probably one of the first companies to do remote proctoring.
We were one of the first companies. I mean, there are some companies before that, but I think that there was a little bit of like a turning point, like around the 2008 2009 timeframe, where there was like an evolution of technologies that would allow you to do it within a browser. But
right. Yeah. So as technology evolved, and as schools, certification bodies, all adopted technology, and that opened up the world for new candidates, new target markets. Obviously, the emergence of remote proctoring happened, and so the change was obviously a bit slow, but the next evolution was video proctoring. A person watching you remotely. It was a step up. Obviously, it did the job, and it's still doing the job. But that solution is really not for the future. It's built for this time where the world is going from in-person to remote. This is a stopgap solution where it does the job, but it's not going to be it's not going to scale for what the future has
So explain to me, because I am in 100% agreement with you. Explain to the audience, right? Like, why do you think that the current solution, which is online proctoring, human led, right? I always want to call it like the legacy remote proctoring model, right? But it's like, explain to people why I think that you're a visionary and I'm a visionary, and I have the vision of why it's not. And I know like things could be better, but tell us why. Why is it? Why do you think it's not the right model, or
Well,
why could there be better?
well, again, so if you're an American university and you have a lot of money, and your students are mainly in person, but some of them may travel, and you want to offer that convenience to them, you can absolutely use remote proctoring with a human model. You can eat the cost, and it's okay. But if you're looking at the future where there are billions of people around the world whose life will be transformed by online learning, online certification. So I'm coming from Afghanistan. I have a niece that was going to medical school, and Taliban took over. She was banned from going to school. What did she do? She pivoted, and she is now taking Python courses in Coursera. So, there are billions of students that will be tapping into online education, online certification, instead of using their, really bad local education. So it's gonna transform the world. The online education is going to transform the world, and for that online education and online certification to be meaningful, the credential has to be verified. And if you want to do that with human proctoring, just leave the student experience aside. It's not going to scale. It's not going to be cost effective, but it's also pretty manual. It also,
and there's no
intrusive.
there might not be a testing center there, right? There might not be a human who can verify that credential, or I'm sorry, proctor it or whatever it is.
Yes.
Or the infrastructure, perhaps.
No, absolutely. So those the modern technology is replacing and displacing all of those solutions that used to exist in physical, a lot of it in a physical location. So test centers will almost certainly not exist.
Besides being able to to reach that audience, what else do you have? What else change? What do you think? What are the other changes that are required
the other changes,
to make it scalable, as you're mentioning? Right?
Absolutely. So the other changes is that the human model basically is very, very focused on detecting and catching cheaters. There are smarter ways to proctor, to prevent, to deter. So I think technology is better suited to do that.
Yes.
It has evolved so much. So now it's smart enough to be able to make things data-driven, to predict things, to prevent things, to deter things, versus just being reactionary.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like I think that we're we talk about just kind of like some technologies that are out in the market today, like a Tesla driving itself and so forth. But driving is a very difficult. You just drove here from Columbus, so you're exhausted after like 4 or 5 hours. Because you have to be turned on all the time. You have to watch the signs, and you get tired of that, right? And that process of watching people, it's very repetitive.
It's very
repetitive. Right. And then you're supposed to kind of like watch, find those anomalies, because not everybody there is there to cheat. And it's only a few and so forth. So you have to find that through that repetitiveness, find that. So I agree with you that I think machines are just way better at doing that than a human would be.
Absolutely, and the human gets tired, right? It's a very boring job. You watch people take tests. If you do it for an hour, the second hour, if you're like me, I mean, that would be very exhausting for me. So the effectiveness goes down as well, and you can only watch what your eyes can see. Now, AI. Machine learning and technologies that we employ at Rosalind, it looks at multiple things. It can predict, before things happen, and it will become sophisticated and smarter as it processes more exams. But it becomes very, very good at predicting the sequences of events that leads to cheating, and kind of employing strategies to stop it before it happens and do it very, very efficiently,
Yeah.
and in a way that is not intrusive, and is not creating anxiety in the test taker as well, and more that's it's more not, less biased. It's not, so it solves a lot of problems.
I think that a lot of programs don't realize how biased it is to be proctored by a human being. Like I said, I have a lot of experience with it, right? But it could be a very biased process, right?
Yeah, they're absolutely right. I mean, there are cultural biases. There are all kinds of bias. We're living it.
yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
immigrants.
I mean, we're
yeah.
humans, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I know about biases, and you know about biases. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so that's interesting. So that's a really interesting perspective, because I think then, eliminating some of those biases, or most of those biases, or all of those biases, I mean, you have like this kind of like now global experience, right? Whether it doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get treated the same. Hopefully be treated the same by AI than, if you wouldn't, but so that's interesting. So then the other piece of it that I think that you talked about is around, you talked about, proctoring can be a bit traumatizing, right? But talk a little bit about kind of the user experience, and talk a little bit about why that's important, and, the anxiety that, that proctoring creates, and why is it important as well.
Yeah. So it is, the exam process itself. It doesn't matter how hard or easy or confident or not confident you are in finishing it or completing it. It's a process that triggers anxiety. It's not a comfortable process, but on top of that, if you are being watched by someone whose sole job is to watch you and find every move you do, the default position for the proctor is to kind of scrutinize you. It creates a lot of anxiety. So. 98% of exams or sessions can be either, people either don't cheat, or if they try to cheat, they can be deterred and stopped. It's the 2% that are really, have high intent on cheating, and it's like credit card fraud. They could get away with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing probably that you can do to stop some cheating.
Yeah.
But in the process, you're destroying the experiences of the 98%
Absolutely right.
of the test takers who are honest, or could be, kept honest by by deterrent strategies, by other ways of stopping the action of cheating.
Yeah.
And that's what we have been focused on in Rosalind, and balancing the security with the student experience, and just really focus on how do we make this an experience that is acceptable, that students don't hate it, but stops enough prevents and stops enough cheating that the schools and the certification companies are comfortable with. So that's what we have done, and I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what we were talking before. Imagine the future where this test taker is completely anonymized. You don't need to. I don't need to see your face or know you to be able to proctor you.
Right.
That is where we are kind of moving with AI, and it makes it much more equitable.
Yeah.
And so that's the future. Imagine also if it can predict the cheating or misbehavior, and inform your test delivery. To change, switch, or shuffle
change
questions.
the items, or give them a form that's exactly. I mean, I think there's one of the things that I in getting to know your platform and integrating into Certiverse, we really it's very in line with what we want to do, right? Because if you think about like today's legacy model, it's like okay, I'm gonna go and if you're taking an exam at test center, it's the world's worst kind of legacy model, right? It's like I'm gonna go online and then I'm gonna go find a location that's near me, a test center, right? And then I'm gonna look through their inventory, and then I'm gonna find seats that are available to me, and then I gotta look at my schedule, and these are finite seats, right?
Yeah.
So like there's not a lot of options, and if there's a testing program that's going on, like the MCAT or whatever, they might eat up all the seats for 2 months. And so like there's this kind of like thing where you it's like it's worse than booking a flight, I would say.
Yeah.
You got to look into the future, and then there's rules around cancellation if you missed your whatever, and then like then you're finally there. You have your exam scheduled, then you got to drive down to the place, and then you have to go into the test center, and it's like you get treated better going through TSA than you would through some of the security that you have to go through. So like that experience, and then you have to sit down, by the way, and take an exam after
Take an exam,
which is crazy. It's like okay, so then obviously like online at home solves that, right? It's a little bit better. You're at home, you get to use your computer, but the it's a very still intrusive process in today's world. And like even just the like I look at systems, right? We our focus is around like, can we get rid of those 10 steps, right? How do we get it down to one step? Because we want that test taker to get through our process quickly, buy the exam, get into the exam, and have a good experience and feel like they're not there being harassed by us, and that it was ultimately they're there to take the exam, and that's what they can focus on. Even in the online model today, where you still have to go and schedule and find a proctor, it's the same deal. Like you got to go, okay, when am I available on Wednesday? Then you got to look at your schedule. You might have to take a day off. You might, you know what I mean? And it's so like there's still these cancellation things. Like if I cancel, if my plans change, like you don't get your money back, or you get some of your money back. That ultimately hurts consumers. And then you have somebody like like your niece was just like can afford to take that exam maybe one time, right? Can't afford to do the reschedule or pay or pay the premium fee to take it today, right? So talk a little bit about what your model is doing and changing that, because I love it. I mean, I think it's not just about the AI. You have some human proctors, right, that are part of the process, but you're really trying to solve a very important critical piece around experience.
Yep. So experience is a core pillar in our product. That's one activity we really focus on, but also the other one is access. So the test centers and the human models both exclude people around the world. Mm-hmm. And so whether that's consuming higher endurance bandwidth. So if you're taking a remote exam, even in a human model, the bandwidth that you consume, is basically a barrier for a lot of people, and the data that you have to use, because you prepay for the data, and if you have to spend $15 just prepaid data on an exam, that's also very expensive. I mean, test centers are not available in a lot of locations. It's not in Afghanistan. It's one test center in an entire country of Pakistan. So again, that's changing. But what we are doing is we are making sure that the product works in a very low bandwidth internet. So we only require 300 kilobits per second. We have delivered exams around the world in those countries, and specifically built it so that it works in low bandwidth areas, and completely removed the friction that exists in the exam process. The whole scheduling thing. Again, you mentioned it. It's a struggle for test takers to do that. There's all kinds of things, no-shows and missed appointments and all of those things. Our exams are basically fully on demand.
Can I just say that the economics behind scheduling exams is really outdated, just from the word that you said right now, no-shows. Okay, imagine you paid for the exam, and for whatever reason you couldn't make it, and now you've lost $150 or $200 or whatever it is because you couldn't show up.
You couldn't show up.
I mean, an economic burden on individuals. And then, yeah, I mean, that in itself, eliminating that
Yeah.
is a big deal.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I don't know if there is data around this or not, but the discouragement, the examinee or the test taker or the candidate, whatever you call the end user, they come and want to get certified or get the exam, but if they miss the appointment or if they're no show and they're charged, will they come back and complete the certification?
And here's the other thing. Okay, so I'm going to be your niece again, right? So I'm good. Like I've saved up my money so that I can, I've done my Python courses. I'm ready to take an exam so I can get certified. So the other thing, it's a bit of a penalty if you think about it, right? So some of the companies out there that provide, human proctored models, like if I want to take the exam today, I pay a premium, like to schedule it for today, right? If I schedule it for tomorrow, I still have to pay a premium, but then there's no premium, 3 days or 4 days, or, or and so forth. So you're kind of penalizing the people that, that potentially need to take the exam, right? So like, there's a bit of an equity there, I would say, like it's like the people that can afford it and, already have a job, already have the, the income can get a better experience. So, that's one of the things that I liked about your system is that the experience is the same for everybody.
Experience is the same for everyone, so completely eliminate all of those friction that exists. But also, our approach is not only, we don't rely on AI alone, because that's also problematic. You can't, AI is not smart enough. Even if it's smart enough, you can't let very high stake decisions that requires ethical thinking and creative thinking to leave it to an AI. So we don't do that. So what we do is we allow AI to do what it's best at, and that is looking across data, looking across information and surfacing the concerning behavior, and then human is in the loop in real time. That does the decision making. What it's good at, what the human is good at, and that's kind of the critical, the thinking, the ethical thinking, and they do one thing. They say, is this cheating or not? Should we stop the exam if are they stealing the content or not? But if it's not cheating, it's not stealing content, and someone is just moving, the human filters all of those out to protect that 98%.
Yeah, that's great, because I think that's a big piece of it, right? Because you have with remote proctoring, it's basically you've implemented a system that creates friction, that creates inequality, that's biased for 2%.
Yes.
For you're trying to address the 2%, the anomalies and stuff, and you have this kind of like very unfavorable experience for the 98% because of that. So I think that's great that you're doing that. I mean, I think that model of let the 98% of the people take the exam, but if something does happen, you still have a human there to make those final decisions, and they're there all the time, right?
Yeah. No, the other thing is we have delivered quite a high number of exams to universities and high stake exams as well. What we did was we went through the exams and say, okay, are we missing any cheating? Is there anything we're missing? And we reviewed a lot of those exams and we found 0 false negatives. Like we didn't find any instances where cheating happened and we missed it. It was pretty incredible to find that out.
So I think the model of like being able to say, all right, I'm a test taker. I want to take my exam now and I'm going to launch it right now. I'm ready to take it now, right? I'm going to pay for it now. You don't have the concept of no-shows or cancellations, right? So you eliminate already a lot of cost to the end user, right? Also, not just to the end user. Like I have, we with Innovative Exams, we were doing online proctor. We had our testing kiosks as well. And even for the organizations that use our platform, the corporations, that wanted to test employees, it's costly for them because sometimes employees don't show up to the, to take the exam that they were assigned, or the exam, and you have to charge for no show. So addressing, having to, being able to do this, on demand, obviously, I think it creates a lot of, removes a lot of economic cost, right?
It does.
I'd love to hear about your challenges with your model, because I would say that your model is pretty unique. It's not, in the marketplace today, you have obviously test centers. I think PSI has finally killed our testing kiosks, and
No.
they're no longer around. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I heard. But I think that then you have online proctoring. Then you have some flavors of online proctoring where you have a proctor that you have to, somebody's there. You have a record and review model, which is like you take the exam and then later on it gets reviewed, which from my perspective is, it's a better experience, but is lacking on the security side, right? It's just delayed proctoring, which from my perspective has some challenges with that. And then you have kind of more automated proctoring as well. It captures a lot of data, but then, like the institution still has to go in and review that data, which from my perspective is maybe a lot less expensive, but it's still a lot of work that you have to do to make that work. Tell us about like the challenges that you're running into with your model and trying to get people to understand that. I don't know, anything in general that you want to share with around that?
So there's some negative reputation that some of these automated companies have, and that everybody thinks like, oh, we are AI too, so it must be the same. Mm-hmm. Well, we have to overcome that. We have to educate them that no, we have been working on this deep technology over the last multiple years. It's not, and it's built for proctoring, and it's built very thoughtfully on the right based on the right vision and the right amount of interaction between human and AI to make it effective, but also make it low cost, great student experience, and focus on prevention and deterrence versus catching cheaters. There's a lot of, it's yes, AI is there, but you have to learn about it. It's customer education, and it's market is still, getting ready for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's probably the same thing with you. Yeah. As you said it, it's you're democratizing the content development, and the reaction is, oh, it must be bad, or it must not be sound.
Yeah.
But no, it's sound. What I'm doing is, scaling, allowing you to scale, use, deploy exams faster, better, cheaper.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. We get these objections all the time, and I'm kind of used to it because I've been in remote proctoring, I had to argue for the benefits of remote proctoring and, the benefits of security and things like that. But I mean, that's interesting. I didn't really think about that because, so what you're saying is that there was a first kind of generation of AI proctoring that was using kind of retail technologies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that were not fit for purpose, right? But basically didn't perform. And now there's a bit of a bad reputation around, using AI. And your argument is that what we're doing is we have a custom AI that we've designed and built, that's fit for purpose, and it's not designed to like identify, a cup or whatever. It's designed to do more, more of the things that we're looking to. So I think that's interesting.
We worked with a university in Illinois, and one of the things that came out of that partnership was that we removed the need for biometrics, mm-hmm. processing biometrics. So, it's just a huge step forward, because we are AI, but we do not process. We do not use facial recognition, sound recognition, any of those things, mm-hmm. And it just really puts us in a different category of compliance, and getting us closer to to getting a lot of companies comfortable with mm-hmm. the idea of AI proctoring. So we're making progress.
That's great, because I think I think the industry itself has had a reputation for using intrusive technologies.
Yeah, right thing to do. It's they are the end customers, whether it's for a student going to university. The university's mission is to improve outcomes for those students, and for a certification program, it's the whole idea is to train people and make sure that those people are happy with what the training that they got and can actually go passionately do the job.
And that's why I firmly believe that your your model, your end user kind of approach is going to succeed, because there's in today's market that does not exist.
Yes.
It really does not exist. Like somebody taking a position of like, let's build something that's going to be a better experience for the end user. It does not exist. So, congratulations to you on getting Rosalind launched. And, we're super excited about our partnership as well.
We are too.
Changing the world together. It's, we're excited about that. So
yes,
thank you very much, Noor, for joining us. And then if somebody wants to find you, wants to learn more about Rosalind, where can they find you?
Well, our website, rosalind.ai, and my email is noor@rosalind.ai, and so LinkedIn as well. Through all of those media.
All the social media. All right, and we'll include some links in the show notes as well if anybody wants to find you. But thank you again for coming down to Chicago, and it was a pleasure to finally meet you in person.
It's a pleasure to meet you as well, Ruben. Thank you.
All right.